Welcome to Brawlhalla. Welcome to Brawlhalla.
What's up, Brawlhalla? We've got everybody here today. You guys, can we hear you guys? Everybody say hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
All right. Yeah, everyone's here.
Howdy.
All right, guys. Let me introduce you all to the Grand Wizards of Brawlhalla. We've got them all here. Programming Masters, Tech Lead, General Manager, Art Lead, it's the big guys here today, and you guys don't get to see enough of them, but they're here now, and we're all just gonna talk about nothing. It's the podcast that I'm hilariously underprepared for, but it's gonna be fine. So I wanted to take this time with this podcast to talk about the early days of Brawlhalla. And for the most part, you guys were there from the very beginning. I came in a little late. I came in like mid 2016, started playing Brawlhalla in 2015, but stuff was happening with Brawlhalla long before that, right? The Steam release says October 17th. When did Brawlhalla start for you guys?
April 29th, 2014.
2014 sounds right. Yeah.
That's when Alpha went out, right?
Yeah.
2014.
So I think that was like the day we got back after PAX.
Exactly. PAX is when it started for me. Yeah.
Oh, you mean like when it was
People
like,
had
oh,
it.
this is a legitimate game, and yeah,
That's when it had
was
a
way
name,
that
right?
far.
So, game.
It was.
Was this the thing I could download?
Like, yeah, I think you could play.
It had a name literally days before PAX, I think. Yeah.
Yep, that was a
Name
total
came
better
in
than
real hot.
That was the gimmick, right? It was like you had you had the opportunity to go to a PAX, and there wasn't a name for the game yet, and so that's what finally drove you.
Yeah.
What was that?
They
Matt?
said we had to have one or we couldn't register.
That's right. That's right. We needed to make the giant banner, right?
Is
Yeah,
that
Yes.
is
We
that
needed a game 'cause
when
we wanted
this
a banner.
logo got concepted? Is that
Yes, that is the
Oh
very
wow.
first.
That's the first one.
Very
Yeah,
first
I remember
one
doing it.
ever.
Oh my goodness.
That was
Oh,
it.
yeah, with like the
Oh,
cartoon
yeah.
fight club.
Yeah, and a lot of it was like, because all this is very early. We were very small as a studio, and it was like, okay, what kind of typefaces do we not have to pay for? It was
Yeah.
like, okay, there's Comic Sans and Papyrus. We don't want those. And so I just was like, okay, it's going to be more exciting and cheaper if we just draw a typeface. And then, yeah, that one there obviously led to what we have now.
Okay, you guys can't see him moving. That's a problem on my end, but that was Dave talking over there. Yeah, over there.
Oh, am I frozen now? Yeah.
Oh, are we frozen again?
You know,
It's
don't
The
worry
one
about
label,
it.
Dave.
Just
Don't
Dave.
worry
It's
about
like
it.
that.
What are
It's
you
like
gonna
that.
do?
It's
You know.
fine.
So
At least
this
it
got
froze
Okay,
on,
it's
like,
a good
on
headshot
a-
for what
on a
it's worth.
decent-
It's a good
yeah.
frame. It's not
Yeah.
like when you pause Netflix and
Yeah,
it's
you're
just-
looking
Right,
good right
It-
now,
It
Dave.
didn't freeze like while I'm like eating a soft pretzel or something. Yeah.
You
No,
get
so-
one of those awkward freeze frames.
That logo was because these guys had been working on Brawlhalla since the game before this, which was Dungeon Blitz, and Brawlhalla started out as we were like, oh, let's have a PvP version of Dungeon Blitz or mode in Dungeon Blitz, and then these guys went off and did it, and Andrew,
But-
over here,
There you
Oh,
go.
the Brady Bunch. Yeah.
he was hired. And he never worked on anything but Brawlhalla. He was the first person that we hired after we
wow.
decided we were going to work on Brawlhalla. And so I was working on Dungeon Blitz at the time. I had no idea what he did for a living for a long time.
What
I
did
was
you
like,
do for a living, Andrew? What was your
I was
first
the only
task?
guy. I mean,
Oh, wow.
basically, I was banging away on Brawlhalla, and which was not called that at the time, obviously. But the idea was to make sure that someone was working on it at all times, because other people were getting pulled off on the Dungeon Blitz for holiday events and stuff, and they just wanted to make sure that somebody was cranking away at it, and that was me. I think the first thing I worked on was like the camera, and then tweaking physics, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
For
we had
me- Go ahead.
we
Doug.
had like an early version of that prototype. It had movement controllers, and we were playing around with jumping on walls and wall climbing and midair dashing. A lot of stuff inspired from like games like Kirby Superstar and Mega Man and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember
Playing a lot of that at the time, and then we got pulled back onto Dungeon Blitz features, and Andrew just kind of like ran with it and laid a lot of that early groundwork for us.
Big
So-
groundwork layer.
So was Brawlhalla built
peek out
on top
I
of
used
Dungeon
to-
Blitz
to
to some
like
amount?
production
Yes
work?
and no.
I mean, technically, yeah, it all started in the same code base. They've forked at this point, but
Right.
yeah, the original Brawlhalla prototypes for sure. We're using a lot of that same code.
Nice. Dave, you had something
Yeah.
to say. What
No,
do you
I was
got?
saying, I remember when we had to okay, we're doing a bunch of groundwork and for Brawlhalla and passing it off to Dolce and I guess Andrew, and having to go back to Dungeon Blitz, and I would constantly poke out because I was for a short while I was in an office that was off the main office, just through a doorway, and I would constantly walk out and just kind of look around to see if there was a working prototype yet. And I remember one time finally I saw on Dolce's screen just a static figure just kind of moving around like this, and I was like, I gotta play it, and it looked like a debug mode of something, and it was still rad just because it was something I could latch onto.
For a while, you could only do multiplayer online because we didn't even do local multiplayer at all until we found out we were going
really?
to PAX.
The online came first.
Yeah, that came later.
Yeah,
Interesting.
We
that
didn't
was
support
kind of the
controllers.
concept,
we didn't have bots before PAX either.
Nope. There was a lot of
Had
stuff,
bots
including
until
a
after
name that was needed.
PAX.
Well, I just looked it up real quick. So the name and the logo got sent to be prepped for the banners and everything on March 17th, which is still pretty last minute.
That's really
So I guess in the month,
yeah.
I guess we probably decided we were going the week before. So then between probably middle of March, and PAX was late April, we had to add bots. We had to add that whole put down the controller and the game keeps playing thing. We had to basically make a con ready for the game that was just a single player online prototype. So yeah,
I remember
something.
making a mad dash to add controllers, and even just the entire idea of people controlling characters from the same machine was something we had to add in, in a
Oh wow.
in a frenzy.
Yeah, you needed to be able to, if they went idle, they would be picked up by a bot, and if somebody picked the controller up and hit a button, it became a player.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
all super last minute.
And that
right,
basic
we
AI
had
remained in the game until very recently.
I can't remember what
Yeah,
it
the whole
was.
station used to be a rolling thing.
Select, and your character would glow blue, so you figure out who you were. I have a hard time breaking up
Oh,
the different
yeah.
packs. What we tried to do to make it easier to walk up and pick up a controller and get going. But
Oh yeah.
early
So-
days, that infinite running fight.
So March 17th, 2014 is basically Brawlhalla's true conception. I guess that's when it had a name. That's
Yeah.
when the name Brawlhalla came into
Let's
existence.
say March.
I like to see it really
say
big
March.
when I
Let's say March.
Andrew says it's with the day he got hired is the day Brawlhalla was born.
I believe that was late July of 2013, maybe the 27th or so.
So Andrew, for me, I know you as the guy who wrote the netcode for Brawlhalla. Is that right? Am I wrong in that?
It was me and Lincoln.
guys wrote
I
the
thought
name.
it was
It's all him.
typing.
100% him.
Yeah,
Lincoln is
oh,
all
boy,
right.
okay.
Fine.
Yeah.
Who wants to be set up for
God.
this?
It was shoving it into each other.
Yeah, y'all can blame me, whatever.
I mean, look, maybe
Our
you
netcode's
experience lag every once in a while, but trust me, what's happening in Brawlhalla is amazing in terms of being able to play online and having it feel like it is offline. That's why I started playing the game, and
Yeah,
look at us
great.
now.
Coda really butters up my ego when he talks about our netcode, and I could
I
just
think it's a
listen
big
to
deal.
it for a long time.
The netcode's a big deal, in the fighting game world. Netcode is everything,
The big decision we
Play
made
online.
was to try and avoid giving you input delay
Right.
as much as we possibly can. And yeah, the trade-off with that is that the game jumps a little bit more. than
Yeah,
other
you see,
online
if you
fighting
lag,
games.
you see everything.
Yeah,
You
we
see,
don't really try to do not really. We don't at all try to really smooth it out. We just jump you to where you
Yeah.
are because we're just trying to give you the most updated information. It also it may look a little less polished, but it feels better in our opinion.
Yeah. I
Which is
would
a big deal.
agree.
I don't know. It's about the game feeling good and being accessible. That was our main goal
Yeah.
going
Well,
into
it's-
it. Make a fighting game that feels good and feels accessible. Because none of us
Yeah.
were fighting game wonks. None of
Right.
us had worked on a fighting game before or were super into the competitive scenes for them, but we liked them and we
Yeah.
wanted to make one that we could play.
And
Apparently, that was a good idea.
yeah, even things down to like we didn't even have local at first because the whole concept was to fill unoccupied space in gaming, right? It wasn't just like, let's make a game that's like a game we like. It was like, let's make a fighting game that's in this subgenre that's occupying new territory, you know? And so
And
that's
online
like, okay,
first.
online first, exactly.
Yeah.
And I
So
mean,
that was
traditionally,
kind of-
online is the company's strengths, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
and yeah, we just leaned into
That's
that.
why I started playing. You're right. There was a void, and like, oh, finally a platform fighter on PC. I can meet people and talk to people.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it feels like I'm playing offline because that was the biggest deal. You know.
Yeah, I think you came in after we made the switch from TCP/IP to UDP, which is it's a different networking protocol, but one
Yeah.
that is faster but has drop packets. So we had to come up with a solution for
Right.
I think I have
resending drop packets. But
What's that, Lincoln?
I think we switched that over before by like November 2014, which is I think when closed beta starts. November, December.
yeah,
Ballpark. Like we went alpha, we did that for 5 months or so, or I guess 7 months, and then once we were comfortable with it, we started sending out those keys. Back in the day when we could advertise free Steam keys on Steam, that's good stuff.
Wow.
I remember writing
Okay,
a
we
Twitch
went alpha
bot.
and then spent that entire summer writing the netcode like,
Yeah,
from the ground up.
Actually,
to do
We started
rollbacks.
How long-
watching
you
people
said it
play
took-
online, and we're like, "Oh my god, what's
I
happening?"
remember.
This is
I
no
remember
good.
something early from when it was like when we first the game was out there. It was post PAX, and I say out there, but you know
Welcome
it's
to
brand new,
Brawlhalla.
right? And so there are some players that are beginning to trickle in, and it was exhilarating that like some people were playing. And I remember it was the first time it was being streamed, right?
Active Bunny Fufu.
And
Yep.
yeah, and it
Yep.
was like everyone just start playing, and you're like, you know, like I don't know, just play it at like 30% or something like that.
Queue up, make
And
sure
it
he
was-
has people to play against.
Yeah.
And lose, let him win.
Yeah, and we didn't want to.
Did you seriously let people win in the early days?
Oh,
We didn't want to like start
Yeah,
stalking
yeah,
people and like
yeah.
drive them away from the game. You know, it's like that would have been so frustrating. But I remember this one time, the first time it's getting streamed, and it was like, all right, everyone, jump in there, just let's have some fun, let's occupy their lobby or whatever it is. And I had the stream up, and I really just wanted to just like play and stomp on someone. And I was like, all right, the room is already full. I didn't get in. So while that's going on the stream, I'm just going to clobber whoever I'm in a room with, right? and so I'm just going for it. I'm going crazy. And in that early slow build, like I remember we had that first build was on a BCX floor one time, and it was like punching underwater, you know?
Oh yeah, they saw it at
yeah.
BCX 2017. We had that build up in the
That's
corner, and
Oh, the old school one.
So we're playing that one, right? And I'm just like slaughtering whoever I'm playing, and I'm also hearing the people that are on the you know from in the office, the guys that are on this stream playing
yeah,
are like, oh man, someone's in here causing some trouble. Someone caught on to the game, and I'm like, oh man, that's crazy. And I'm playing, and then I'm watching the stream, and it goes to the windscreen, and it says idling. I was like, oh no! And I had accidentally gotten into the thing, but I wasn't accounting for the delay on the stream, which was like 30 seconds or something.
yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
assumed I hadn't gotten in, and then what happened was I went in there, and I just wiped this streamer completely. And
Oh
You
man,
still audience too.
The other thing is, I remember
good.
when MC, I think it was MC, was in the queue, and he was playing someone, and we're like, "Let him hit you already!" And he couldn't get into
You were
it.
trying to get grabbed by the hammer.
oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
man.
I was so
MC
happy.
was great at letting people win, if I remember.
I was just happy as a clam though, and then I realized what had happened.
who knows how much that stunted the growth of Brawlhalla?
Yeah, I wonder. Right now, right now we could be even bigger.
Razor thin, Dave.
That's hilarious.
It's really
So,
almost
yeah,
blew
early days of online queues, we had the devs padding the numbers there to make sure that people. That was people's
Had to do
jobs
what we
at
had to
one
do.
point. Was queue up when
I think most
streamers
of the
are
people in the
playing.
queue were us. Like, there's
Either
like
that or
13
just
of
want to
us.
play against me.
I
I'm
think that
terrible
was
at it.
really smart, which is we knew it was going to be light queues. We knew it was early
Yeah.
game. we did the thing where queues would automatically kick off with bots, so you wouldn't spend forever waiting. And that was the thing. Is like there were always problems. Not enough people in the queues, one of them, and then we just sort of see it, tackle it, and address it with whatever we could think of.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how Brawlhalla grew. Is like we were just very responsive. We used to patch real full patches once a week, and like reflecting back on that, crazy.
Oh man,
it's actually crazy.
That was quite a pace.
It's actually crazy that we ever did that, but
right? We would just put it live, and if it started breaking, we'd take it down, patch it,
stay up late.
Right.
Oh yeah, we just stood by with duct tape and glue guns. And just
Wednesdays
Wednesdays
were stressful.
Every Wednesday, it was like, all right, I don't know when I'm gonna be home. Sometime between 7 and morning.
But I remember
this is better now. But
I remember as a player, that was great.
You gotta work harder when you're on. Put the work in.
I mean, I'm glad
we will not be out hustling.
Well, there's so much to it. Like
now, we just don't release it as often, which is a lot healthier for the studio.
Yeah, well, it's like impossible now that we're on a billion platforms and stuff. Everybody has approval times and.
Well, and the thing is, back in the day when it was like, oh, I'm going to take 50 people offline if we take the service down for emergency maintenance, it's like, whatever. Now it's like, oh, I'm going to take 50,000 people offline. Best case, actually, I don't even think we can get down to that anymore.
No,
at a minimum,
like 100,000.
Offline, and that's if I do it at like 10 a.m. EU. So it's a different calculus now. When we're like, hey, is this patch stable? Is it ready to go? It's like, no, there's no if. It needs to be good. It's going out to a million people a day. So let's make sure it's ready.
I did enjoy. I remember early on playing Brawlhalla in 2015, seeing you were a little fast and loose with the server status messages. You'd be like, "All right, we're going down in 5 minutes." And you'd be like, "Oops, make that 10 minutes." Like in a broadcast to every person in the game.
I just don't put
very casual.
It was fun.
I'll throw a Steam key in the next server downtime we do, just for old time's sake. I don't know if I have any, or I'll get a community color or something.
The way we did all this early on, it's kind of like it was like we were doing video game development in the same way that you go busking on a subway station. We're just there. We're among the people. We're hitting drums. We're making music, and then that's it. Yeah.
I remember as a player,
I mean, everything was coming in hot.
Yeah.
Like whatever we released every week was what we did the last week, and we just can't do that anymore because it's riskier now.
And you were addressing things. I mean, as they came up. Yeah. I remember streaming and talking about something, and in 3 days it was in the game, and I was like, oh, they're listening. Like, wait, it was team damage. I talk about that all the time. We were playing 2v2. We turned on free for all and organized our colors so that we could play with friendly fire because that didn't exist. And in 2 days, friendly fire was in the game, and that's when I knew. I was like, oh yeah, Brawlhalla.
That was probably me. Yeah. We leaned really heavy on feedback early on because, like I said earlier, none of us had made a fighting game before, and we learned a lot of things about fighting games, and that was fun.
There's no shortage of feedback here.
Yeah, but I mean, we kind of hit a good pocket in like 2014 or whatever, where people were patient with us, and I don't know if they'd have that same level of patience with us today.
Maybe not.
Yeah, they still would, right?
It was a lot of like
there's love in both directions.
It was a lot of things happening at exactly. It was kind of like the right team, right place, right time. Yeah. And in addition to that, I think that Andrew, you keep saying that none of us had made a fighting game before, and we didn't know how until we just did it. That worked in our favor.
I think so.
Because I think if we had any idea how easy it was to fail, like. I've told this story before, but this is how I feel. One time I was with a buddy of mine. I was accompanying him to a speaking engagement that he was doing at a camp, right? And so we're like all these, nature trails, and he's done with this thing. We're talking, we're having a lot of bro time. We're just really talking and getting into some deep stuff. And we approached this like big Jurassic Park tall fence, right? And on the other side of it, these two we're talking Princess Mononoke, majestic elk approach the fence. And we're so deep into talking that we're just like, we are walking up, they put their heads down, we reach to the thing, we're like petting these giant mammoth heads of these elk. And then when we leave, we like, wow, that was nuts. Oh my gosh, that was insane. Wow, we just connected with these animals, and we were connecting with each other as dudes. And then we saw this sign that was like, don't approach the elk, they'll kill you, they'll gore you, and all this warning, right? And I was like, that was game development. Because if I had any clue how easy it was to get gored and die, I wouldn't have done it, and I wouldn't have had that experience. You know, it's like, I don't know, the not knowing, I think, did a lot of good.
That's a pretty good way to put it.
Yeah, we walked through a
Gore
hail
and
of
die
arrows.
is pretty.
I mean, so yeah, the
Sure.
goring and dying is a little much.
Maybe not gore and die, but you get the idea.
I mean, we made some good
Whatever one
decisions.
level lower
Twitch streaming early on, I think, probably helped us a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Matt's
that was
hustle
huge.
with us going to cons was big. I mean, we were
That
just
was
at.
awesome.
Oh my
every
goodness. Can we
pack
talk
The
about
rumor
Matt's
hustle.
con
in
hustle?
every piece of Buffalo to throw up these really nice looking booths with like duct tape everywhere behind. Or
Literally
Dude.
buckets of rocks
go
are
deep.
holding things up. We were,
I remember
and this
the
man,
first.
the general
Yeah,
manager
everyone
of
was drive.
Brawlhalla, is
Yeah,
driving a van stuffed to the brim full of Brawlhalla stuff, just stuff.
yeah,
all
all these big studios like hire people to construct these fancy wood things to set up these giant booths, and Matt's just driving a van full of crap. And like it's the actual developers
Yeah.
all throwing it up together. We're
Yeah.
doing arts and crafts at every single con because
Oh,
Matt's
yeah.
got some
Even
new
in
great
2019,
idea.
this isn't even early days stuff. We've
Yeah,
never
no,
hired
this hasn't
somebody
changed.
to help
Well, I
us.
almost
build
killed
it.
Yeah,
Dave.
they
Dave.
never stopped. I mean, we would
What's
get
that?
people from the community to, which was great because then we didn't have to sit there and man, remember the pitch? Like we all worked on our pitches, working the stations. Like, okay,
yeah.
here's the
Wow.
buttons. It's a platform fire. You want to
Yeah.
beat people up? They'll take damage. They'll go farther. You want to knock them off the map? Here's
Yeah,
the
we
buttons.
were schlepping, dude.
Grab your
Yeah.
controller.
Yeah, don't
just
let there
in
be
there, how's
empty
it going?
controllers. Make
Was
sure
it
that
good?
they get community colors or meta devs. Oh yeah.
Yeah, the
Take
meta
your
There was
devs.
a time. There was a time
Yeah,
I
but-
almost killed Dave. Remember, Dave? You almost had inhaled so much spray glue that you died.
Yeah.
Oh.
that-
Was
okay,
that
so
at PAX
Fun
West
story.
where
It
you
was. It
used
was our
him like
first-
a human mop to put the sign together?
It was our first. It was our
Yeah.
first PAX West. Okay, guys. I do remember
Tell
this.
the
Like
story.
we were going so hard on putting this thing together. It was our first PAX West, and that was when we had like what we called the wall. You know, because
The Brawlhalla, dude. Yeah.
the Brawlhalla, because
Yeah.
we had this giant large format printer. We were like, it would be a real shame not to use this. So we printed out these. We were like, how tall do they allow? Like they allow 12 feet. We're like, okay, perfect. We'll make it 14 feet. And so we printed out these huge things, and we're like, okay, we'll bring something to cut these out with. And we had like all this die cut Bryn and Taros, and there's the Brawlhalla logo. And what I brought was like just a little X-Acto blade, like one of these numbers, you know, so you could like do this like you would in an art class. And that's literally the only thing with a single blade. If it broke, I would have been tearing it or biting into it. And we were like, how do we get this thing to stand up? None of these problems we'd solved because, you know, we couldn't ship all the materials. And then, you know, Matt was like, okay, I'm gonna go make a run. And he comes back, and we've got Home Depot insulation foam that's like 1.5 inches thick or something like that, right? And so then we suddenly had to become engineers while we have just a mess of things. We've got like drywall saws while we're like cutting out the sign and everything. And so there's
The
pink
hot knives.
insulation foam everywhere,
Pink insulation
Spray it.
foam.
spray adhesive, and people would walk past our booth, other people that had their booths already set up and everything, and they'd walk past and they'd be like, oh. Like that's gonna
Dude,
be
our
bad.
booth was
That's
the
the
best.
Keep in
But
mind,
then
Just
they
like
would
the
show up
flavor
the
stuff.
next thing, it'd be immaculate, right? But they didn't see like the work. Like Matt and I are still up at like 4 or 6 in the morning, and we're like finally got these things cut out, and we're spray adhesive, and Matt pulled his hoodie over his head and cinched it so it was like just a little hole so he wouldn't inhale too much of the spray adhesive, and he's like rolling his body over the thing as we're laying it down just to get it flat on this thing. And then we had to like do all this kind of crazy, you really methodical duct taping on the back so it wouldn't collapse. And then we had to get it all up, and then we did. And then you got the spotlight. That was the first time I think we did a spotlight. It was put on,
Ironically, the best part of all of the PAXs. Oh, what is that?
That looks like supplemental to the story.
That's East for the first one. I remember that one.
Yeah, that looks like
No, I'm there. That's me on the left. That's got to be
that's South, right?
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
you're
that's
right.
that first. I think that's that South
looks
that
like
we
East.
all went to.
Where
The
we
entire
all went to
company
South.
went to.
Yeah.
With the party house.
Matt, what were you?
That was cool.
Oh, the San Antonio murder house? Yes.
That was
What? Wait,
we
what?
all did the.
Oh my goodness.
This was
We all
before
did
my
the
time.
we rented a house and people told us it was haunted, and we were doing meta devs all night with stickers. And that
Sticker
was the night
parties.
it was like the Golden State Warriors game was on, and we stopped watching because we thought they'd lost, and we missed that fourth quarter crazy Klay Thompson, Steph Curry 3-point extravaganza, like 12 threes in the fourth quarter. Oh, I remember that stuff very well.
Who was in the cab with the driver that was like, y'all aren't going to that house?
We were. He wouldn't drop us off in front of the house. He made us walk to it. He was like convinced people died in it. And he wouldn't, our cab driver wouldn't drop us off in front of it. So we got out in the street after he scared the living crap out of us, and then we walked down the street with no lights to the house.
I was not in that cab.
The backwards
I
Miley
can't tell if I
Cyrus
was in that
days.
cab or I threw the story at this point. I feel like I was in that
I
cab.
remember getting back from. I was in a different cab, which this is like pre-Uber days. I was in a different cab back. It's a little tipsy, and they started telling me about all this haunted stuff. And someone pulls like a picture off the wall. It's got a bunch of weird writing on the back, and I was like,
I am going to talk
I
about
can't
the
handle
weird
this right
writing
now.
on the back.
Stop messing with me.
You guys are ridiculous. You're like, dude, look at the weird the glyphs and everything on the back, and it's in Latin, and it said, I swear to you, it was like, ay, te quiero mucho, abuela, and it said, it actually was just like, I love you all so much, grandma. Like, it was a photo signed by a grandmother in Spanish, and you guys are like, you guys are pulling rosary beads out and throwing anointed water at the walls, and good grief. I had to call off the priest.
It might still be possessed.
Josh Olin thought he found that bag of bones in the crawl space that existed above the shower for some reason. I don't know why
He
they
spooked
did
me the
that.
most. He went hard on spooking me.
I know, right?
Well, look, it was worth it. Look at this. Look at this booth.
And that's,
We
yeah,
did
that's
it.
what we got, yeah.
That was like one of our
Oh, that was
first
in.
cons ever.
No,
That might
no.
be East.
That's
That's
totally
East. That's
east.
the
See the walkways?
Yeah, I could tell it's east
Oh,
because
yeah.
of that structure. That's how I can tell it's east.
Yeah. So that's
Oh,
the
you're
first
right.
East that I went to. That would have been 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was before me. I never was at one where we had that banner.
Yeah, and it turns
Yeah,
out
that's
that
where-
after all that, the real value of cons is not about promoting Brawlhalla. The real value is developers have to stand there for hours and hours and hours watching people pick up your game for the first time and fall off the edge and not figure out how to jump and not know where their character is and not know how to get started and suffer, and you
That's a good
just have to
point.
stand there and suffer for hours and hours on end, and then you come back and you're like, oh god, I never want to do that again, and
So let's go. Yeah.
that's what it's for.
I will say to add to that was a big game changer for me, was to physically see a human being pick up a controller and play the game and watch them either be incredibly frustrated or have a blast with their friends and come back the next day. And it changed pretty much every little aspect about how I thought about developing when we got back to the office. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
I can put faces to these names and all that kind of stuff. And to what Matt is saying, yeah, it's to design something and be like, oh, how could somebody not figure this out, and then watch them struggle with it, and you're like, ah! And yeah, that was a very, 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 very valuable to me.
The thing that offset some of let's call it suffering, you know, because if you do watch someone not get it, it honestly is agonizing, because you know you're thinking like, ah, geez, we're trying to make something great, but then I tell you what, it is honest to goodness offset by someone coming back the next day and with their friends and like, this is the one I told you about. And then they all grab a controller.
Oh,
I
man.
swear it is like flying, especially early on, when we wanted it to be successful. We
Welcome
wanted
to
it to catch on. You were
Brawlhalla.
watching people enjoy it. And then there was another type of moment that this would happen every now and again. You would either have someone walk past the booth and go, what is this? And they would make some pejorative comment about it because they've never heard of it. And then you'd be like, well, play it. The booth's open. There's a controller right there,
Yeah.
Like,
No lines.
It's free stuff. It's a free lunch. Like, go get in there. And then they would go, okay, fine. And then by the end of it, they're like, well, can I play again?
Yeah, then they're
they're
back
like,
the
"All
next
right,
day. That's
you
right.
sure can, bud." Yeah, and then you'd see people that have like skeptical looks, and then it would always be kind of the same thing that would break that stone face of theirs into a big smile. Was when a bomb would hit someone, and then like 3 people would get knocked out, and all of a sudden I see them do like this.
Yeah, bombs were crazy explosive back then too. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Good
We
bit
nerfed
since
their
then. Yep.
we nerfed their force
But I
so
think
much.
Well, and
it's-
even after all that work, I don't think there was ever a conference when I wouldn't talk to Matt the following Monday on his drive back where he'd be like, "This is going to be the biggest game ever." He was always over the moon, like, you have no idea, because I don't go to the cons often, and he would just be like, "You're missing out. You can't even see it because you're not there." And he's been right every single time.
I've only got good memories from the cons. I don't know. It's just
Electrifying.
great. People play the
Yeah.
game, and I mean, a really happy circumstance was that it was great on a con floor. Super easy, just pick up
Oh,
real
yeah.
quick. We never had to do lines. We could cycle people out. It was a good game to stream too. And those are, I don't know, the 2 things that I attribute most of our success to was
Not
how
having
well we
lines
did
was
at
huge.
streaming and cons. And yeah, it was awesome.
When we started doing,
I
we
had a ton
changed
of
the
fun
game
at
when we
those.
started doing play a dev though. That was
Yeah.
Yeah.
that turned out
That
to be
was fun.
huge
Didn't know
for and
then
what
we
a
had
perfect
lines.
thing for me.
Had to
I
have
mean,
lines for that.
I love play a dev.
But even
Yeah.
then, I think the line for play dev is still better than other types of lines because the line also puts you in like it puts you in the
you're the
stadium
audience.
seating, right? You're the
Yeah.
audience, right?
Yeah.
And
Some
it's,
people
it's
say
so
we're
genius.
in that line still today.
People are still
We had
there.
some
They're still
people would
waiting.
wait 3 hours in that line to play. But look, free T-shirt
That's no good.
only if they could get a stock off of one of us.
I actually remember when we first came up with Play a Dev, and it was when we first did RTX, which is also the first time I met like Winan and Duke and Sparky, right? And
That's right. I wasn't
and
at that.
so and I was like, oh yeah, these are the folks that keep doing the tournaments and all that. It was great. And then Matt was just like, I don't know, it's RTX. We don't know what this is totally. Let's just there you go. And it was like, let's just try some stuff. Oh wow, look at me. Look at my face.
there
Oh,
we are.
Dolce, look at that beard.
A bajillion years ago.
Yeah, this was the first time meeting Duke and Winan and Sparky.
Yeah. And and I remember Matt saying, let's just try some stuff. Let's, I don't know, get weird. Just come up with something and run with it. And we didn't call it Play a Dev. We were just kind of like, who wants to,
We just said, who wants
play the
t-shirts?
developers? Who wants t-shirts, right?
That was-
take a
yeah.
stock off and you do it, right? And I remember, like, we were just running sets with the players playing us just at random, and they got such a huge kick out of it that it eventually kind of developed into there's some of the early signs for that.
We used to keep a scoreboard. We eventually stopped
Yeah.
doing that.
And now of
Oh,
course,
I
the
remember that
booth is
scoreboard.
structured around that.
Oh yeah.
So when
I bet
we
most
first
of those
started
packs
doing-
out kills are Zeke.
What's that, Matt?
when we first started doing Play a Dev, I had this idea that we kind of go easy on people, that it would be like them enjoying the game and like stuff like that. And that's just not our dev team. That's just
Yeah.
not how we're not physically capable of that. I remember
Oh boy.
when we first hired Game Fiend, when we first hired John, and I'd be like, okay, John, you're going to be the dev and Play a Dev, but go easy on them. Don't, we're not here to take our t-shirts home with us, right? Go easy on it. And John nodded, and he heard me say, every stock you lose is a shame to yourself, your company, your parents,
Out in country. Yeah.
and your
Oh my
country.
gosh.
It was like,
Oh my
it's
goodness.
like, I don't know. Everybody just goes too hard. So we're like, okay, All right, new plan.
I do remember watching
That's
some of
what made
those
it
sets
fun.
when Don would play, and it was like it almost kind of like you could feel it in your nerves, you know, because he wasn't just beating people. He was like it was like a demoralizing, like just hedonistic styling on him. You know, it was amazing. But people got a kick out of that, and that's why I think why Play-Doh is still so hyped because it's a win-win scenario. You know.
Yeah.
If
The
we
shoutcasting
win,
helps,
if
too.
we win, it's fun because you know we play the game, people half expect it, and if we lose, it's very hype because whoever won is a hero. You know, it's just fun for everyone. I just
They
love
all they have to do is
And
take
people
one
don't
stock
expect it.
and they basically won. Like we'll create a
Yeah,
victory
yeah.
out of anything. Even one, you got a prize for
we'll hype up
one.
anything. Yeah.
You got a prize for one hit, just a single hit. You would get a pin, one of these, which I totally still am hanging on.
Oh,
Yeah, and if
What is that?
if someone would go for a while without
This
allowing a
Series
hit,
1 pin box,
oh nice.
old school.
But if someone went
That's
for
a
like 2
collector.
Wait,
stocks
I'm gonna
without
actually hold on.
allowing
Let
a
me
hit-
open it. This is still
you gonna
sealed.
do
It's
an
got the
unboxing?
tape on it. We did
Oh, no.
unboxing.
Oh, show me
Oh no,
Hattori.
it's gonna depreciate.
Own it if that's Ulgrim.
Nope.
This is the
I'm
long
doing
play,
it.
baby.
Hold on. What? Let's see.
This might
And
be
we all
good.
got-
Diana. It's Diana.
Drink Oval.
That's good.
Diana,
Nice.
strong pin.
All right.
Collector's item right there.
The other thing I'll say about Play-Dev is we also had Steven and several others doing shoutcasting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
while you're in the line, there's just this burst of excitement coming out and like broadcasting the match and like what they're in line to do.
Mhm.
It's just I
Steven
don't
was
know,
a breakout
it's
star there.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Steven was good.
great. He was in his element for sure.
I always
Yeah,
liked
okay.
whenever we'd run doubles in play dev. That was hype.
I remember me and Kreider lost a doubles because Steven made us laugh too hard.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's how we handicap y'all.
I love
What was
doing
it? It's like
play
talking
dev.
about
That's
teammates, like, oh, stop hitting teammate. I don't know. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it justice. What?
All right, so like I have a surprise for you guys. I did not let any of you know that this was coming up here. We've been talking a lot about the old school days, and obviously it's more than just these guys. We had a bunch of devs in 2015. So to talk about them, I've got this fun image, and I want the
Oh, yeah.
story. And some of
that.
I recognize a lot, and maybe some of them weren't working there by the time I started. But I want to go through. I want to try to make some guesses here. Now I know this
so
is
funny.
I know this is Tiver. I know this is Lincoln.
Yeah.
And I think the references that you used to pop up on dev streams all the time with a piece of paper with a code printed on your chest.
Always in new and innovative ways. I'll
Right.
get them on there. And I only ever wear shorts and sandals.
Yeah.
Or in barefoot, I guess.
that's Dynahedron right there.
That's perfect.
Because the being withholding. Yeah.
Because we had all those skins early on, and he was slickling them out. Kept calling
Yeah.
him withhold.
We kept going withholding. We had a whole joke about it. Yeah.
We even have a Discord icon for that.
Oh, and there's
Yeah,
Dave.
yeah,
Yeah, it was
Lucille Blue.
superimposed on Lucille from Arrested
Is that
Development.
from Earth Development?
And I got to imagine this is Dave. You got the
That's
wrist
me.
gloves on. You got your style. You already pulled out the stylus a second ago, right? This is.
He's always got one on.
You got one right next to you, don't
Yeah,
you?
it's
That's funny.
yeah.
And then now,
and I
what
would
I'm
wear a
really
scarf when it
confused
got
about.
cold
Now
in
I
the
know
office,
this
yeah.
is Daryl, but what's happening here?
Oh, it's the. 'cause
That's an
you-
emoji thing from
It's an
Slack.
emoji. It's an emoji thing from Slack.
Oh.
Yeah. It's not
Yeah,
like.
when Daryl would-
remember the time when
would be
Daryl did that? It was
against
hilarious. Yeah.
He put the smiling cat emoji followed by the gun emoji.
Right.
Oh yeah,
I-
killing the bot.
Trying to make a point, and you're holding a cat hostage. Now this is Terry, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
That's not just Terry. That is also the prop broom, which
That
has
is a
been
real-
used to make like 60% of our weapon animations.
Yeah. It's Terry Prime.
Yeah, the story there. This is Terry. Shout outs to Terry. Oh my, one of the most integral people for Brawlhalla. He actually has a broom next to his desk, and every once in a while, and it's super normal, nobody bats an eye, but Terry is like Just standing up in the middle of the office doing moves because he's trying to figure out how it works in animation, right?
It's so natural
scary.
to everyone else. You don't even recognize it.
It's like traffic noise in New York City. You just kind of like you don't even notice it. You know, it's just part of the environment. Yeah.
Terry
then
has
that's
obsession
definitely
with making
Jade
these
right
animations
here.
excellent. He's done a really good job.
I'm very glad that he does.
Yeah.
Jade looks.
Yeah,
this is
just-
exactly how Jade looks in real life.
Yeah, that's
one of
basically just
the-
a photo.
Just as chill.
It's like the most talented special effects artist I've ever seen. It's amazing. Matt. Oh yeah, that's definitely Matt. And that's actually the first prop sword that we made, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
That was cool.
Who else? I don't recognize. Oh, there's Dolce.
There's me.
Dolce
down around the back,
right?
What's
Then
that?
there's Ian over there. He's at
Yeah.
Montreal now.
Yeah. Hey,
You see
photo
Dan.
right
You see
below.
Dan.
Right below Dolce photo, that's Ian Casimir who drew this, and he's now at he's in Toronto now with Yugi.
Yeah, he's
I
working
thought he
at
came
Ubisoft.
back.
What
He
are
was
the
Montreal, and now he's Toronto.
Yeah, what's this about?
Okay.
Is there a story behind, or is it just a cool pose or something?
I think that's another emoji thing. He kept doing Daryl would keep doing the
Oh,
shoot the
yeah.
cat, and he
Yeah.
kept doing the
Yeah.
no good.
Oh,
emoji.
that's the
Yeah.
no.
Oh.
Yeah. The no emoji. Fun fact: Ian's the sidekick in Brawlhalla is his name actually Boomer in Brawlhalla?
Boomer, yes.
That's Ian's dog.
After
That's-
Ian's corgi,
Yeah, that's-
That's
Boomer.
Yeah, that's
his
actually his
actual dog. Yep.
Who's in the short?
And it was
too.
In the
released
short
after he
too.
left.
Yeah. That's hilarious. And then this has got to be Andrew. Am I right?
Yeah, that's the SpawnBot high five taunt.
Oh, that's right.
I'm wearing
Right.
my. I usually wear like a light hoodie when it's cold. I wear like a light hoodie with a leather jacket. That is,
Yeah.
And
and then right
I don't
behind me.
recognize
All right, I
anyone
guess
else.
you want to keep guessing.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
is
do.
this
You know
is
what-
this
yeah.
Kreider? Is this
The Kreider.
Redolus? Redolus.
Yeah.
That's a what's that game that everyone likes? Not
Dark
Demon's
Souls.
It was Dark Souls.
Dark
It was
Souls.
Dark Souls thing, yeah.
Dark Souls.
Yeah, you super
You just
got to see
offended
Dan
that.
and MC and
Yeah,
right.
Dan and MC. Okay, but there's
Oh,
even a
these
story
two.
to that,
That's
'cause
Dan
there
and
was
MC
that,
right there.
There was that.
Yeah.
What was it
Yeah.
called? Robotron or something?
what was it called? This guy trying to get at me. It was Robotron 2084, right?
Robotron.
And Dan and I and some of the guys that worked on Lichdom and McCulling would play every night. We'd stay late trying to get the top score. And Dan and I played just a ridiculous amount of Robotron. We're pretty good at it.
That's
we
awesome.
eventually
You'll have
broke
the white-
we eventually broke the joysticks because you ever
Oh,
played
wow.
it. The game's crazy intense, but
Buddy.
That's cool. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
this is
Raven.
the old school BFG
Yeah, Raiden's
squad.
the only one you missed.
Oh, is that? And I guess he's jamming out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Raiden.
and then did we got everyone on the right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
we
think
got
that's it.
we got
Just
everybody. So that's the
I still have my
2015
copy of
BFG
that.
squad.
In
Yeah,
my house.
mine's actually right there. It's on my shelf there.
I've got a coffee table with a glass top, and I put a bunch of pictures under it. And I've got that in
Nice.
there.
I remember seeing that and being upset
Yeah,
because
and
I
that-
had just joined the team, and I'm like, I'm not in the caricature.
Oh.
Well, that's the crazy thing is just how small the team was in 2014 when we released
Yeah.
the game. Like it was. I mean, we're still small by a lot of game development studio standards, but 2014 we were miniature for running an
I want to say
online.
it was 13 people.
And
Something
even
like
at the
this.
time, I was like,
13,
wow,
I guess.
we're going to be a big.
Yeah, now we're huge with 30.
40? We're 40.
40? Okay,
40-ish.
40. Yeah.
Close to
We-
40 now, I think.
a slow and steady grow. I think that's the way to
We've
be.
hired a bunch of people this year that I haven't even met yet.
Yeah. Kind of
Yeah.
like that.
All right, now I have a picture that I have some questions about. Just a little.
Jeez.
I just need to know just how much energy drink and pizza
Oh my God.
fueled Brawlhalla.
That's funny.
No. So this
So,
was
I love Nas. I miss these days.
clearly.
Nope.
This was when we were doing a hackathon at the Georgia Game Developers Conference. Matt, is that? I
Oh.
believe this is what this was. This is when we made Chromatic
Is it Siege?
Castle. Siege, yeah, that's it. Siege.
Chromatic
Sorry,
Castle,
Georgia
yeah.
Game Developers Conference. Siege. Yeah, I wish
Yeah,
we
they
still
had
had a way to make that game on our phone, because that game was actually pretty fun. We made this little game where it was like you were protecting a tower on one side, and these different color, like red, green, blue guys would fly in.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this! He was
Yeah.
prepared.
So tell me, okay, so what was Chromatic Castle? How did it work? This wasn't this. Now I know it's from a hackathon or a game
It's
game jam.
It worked.
this year
Yeah, it worked. It
weekend.
was fun.
And the idea was, all right, let's throw something together on mobile, touch controls, and there would be one of those little castles on the left that you were protecting, and you would move up and down, but you'd have to shoot the right color depending on what monster was coming in. Or
Oh.
I think you were shifting the color of the turrets, maybe.
Yeah, you had a
So the
tower
turret
on the
had
left.
colors that You had to match the color of the turret with the incoming enemy, and then it would auto shoot. Dolce, does that sound right?
You can kind of see them here. They're in silhouette. They're above the title here, but we had different color little mages, and you would swipe them up and down to change the order that they were in the tiers of this tower.
Yeah.
And then horizontally, you had waves of flying enemies of different colors, and you had to match them to kill them before they got to the tower. And they had different behaviors where they would like change. They would change rows, or they would speed up, or something like that.
That's fun. I wish we
Honestly,
had some
not a
gameplay
bad
footage.
game. We
That was
really
fun.
should do it. It was pretty good.
And how
We did that.
Yeah.
In, how long? I mean, that was a really
Yeah.
quick like.
game jams are
depth.
fast, right? How long did it take?
Throw it
to-
out there,
to make
charge a
it?
buck, see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
I bet we could. I bet we could
I
find it and release.
I think it was just an overnight one, right? I don't think it was even a 24-hour session.
No, it was the day before that Siege conference started. There was like a Windows 8 game jam or hackathon. They wanted us to do it, and they put us in a suite, a hotel suite full of. They didn't have chairs. It was just like boxes of NOS energy drink because I think they were sponsoring it. And then they let a
okay.
bunch of
That
people
explains
who
all the
weren't
NOS.
us basically stand around us for hours on end eating pizza, treating us like we were game devs in an aquarium, basically. And we just sat there and hacked away at it. That was a
So
long time ago.
Sounds fun.
One of the important themes of all this was these were the years where we had no idea if Brawlhalla was ever going to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this must be pre-Brawlhalla because I wasn't there and it didn't
I think
start
it was-
until.
Or
That was-
Brawlhalla.
It's pre-Brawlhalla, yeah.
This is old school.
I would bet this is late 2012. I don't know.
So
Me and Matt
those
still
are-
have that huge ego to ourselves. So
No, I'm pretty sure it is it's.
Mm.
This is probably in October, and then I think we started
in October
the following
2012.
January, right? Because we
Yeah,
kicked
this is-
around a
Yeah,
bunch
I
of
bet this is
ideas
October.
at the end of the year. Maybe I don't know. It was like ages ago, so maybe.
Oh man,
I
that
don't know.
18-inch HP laptop. Oh, I still miss that thing. That
Ooh,
was a big
baby.
screen. People would look at that and be like, "That's a laptop," and yeah, it is. It's great. I don't even think I've seen anyone make an 18-inch laptop since then. Like, it's just not a thing anymore. But I swear that was
So
You get like a 17.
Yeah, 17 is as big as I usually see.
Get all the energy drinks.
Something made Matt laugh here. What it was?
Oh, we
Oh,
should maybe
I'm sorry,
figure out based on your phone screen. I feel pretty confident saying that was October 2012.
Mm.
Wow.
Final answer.
October
That-
2012.
Probably right.
Pizza and NOS.
Don't
Fueled
photos
Chro-
have the
Chromatic
like,
Castle.
built-in, signatures or something? Can we just answer this question? The technology.
Well,
Don't photos have like built-in
Oh,
signatures? or
oh,
something?
yeah. Let me pull up the metadata.
Yeah, not that we need to do this live, but we can move on to the next thing.
the world is waiting to find out.
Yeah, seriously.
2012 sounds right. Yeah, October 4th, 2012. That's literally the date.
Boom.
Wow.
Oh,
All right.
Way to go.
That's okay. Woo.
That's literally what Lincoln's for.
Lincoln is like, it's like you get dates.
All right, now I have a funny picture I want to look at here while we're on the topic of Lincoln, and old school Lincoln is the first
Oh,
yeah.
the first Brawlhalla
That's
cosplay,
Your first cosplay ever, yeah.
and that's
Dan
Dan,
bought
aka
that hat.
BMG
I
Dan,
remember
aka the server
Yeah.
master.
That was so cool when Dan showed up with a trucker boat bar hat.
Yeah, we all like geeked out about it.
No one
That's great.
expected it. He was like, "Yeah, I got a costume." I was like, "All right, cool."
And Lincoln just had that in his car.
That's right.
That was just a
my
normal
weekend
day
after
for Lincoln. showing up
That's-
in
That's what
tennis
Lincoln
clothes.
wears when he goes to get Starbucks. Yeah.
Yeah, the Country Cup Roland was modeled after me, obviously. That hair and the
Uncanny.
chin tell me. No, that's the Amsterdam team. We haven't worn that over here, if you can believe it. We left that in the States. So.
Oh no.
Oh,
Well,
big
we can do.
mistake.
Well, someone
yeah,
around
that
there.
is the Amsterdam team. Those two guys, Lincoln and Dan, the squad. So Lincoln and Matt, guys, are the co-founders of Blue Mammoth Games, and I wanted to ask you guys, what got you to? Yeah, wait, high five.
Got it.
No,
We can fix it in post.
We'll get it.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
sorry. Okay.
take care of that. Wait, get that photo.
Wait, come on, get the high five, guys. Get a
Edit that
screenshot. Hey, all right, yeah, that's
nailed it.
yeah, pretty good.
None of
My
those
hand
nailed
works.
it, right?
Those worth it.
So what?
As you can tell,
What
I'm
led
more
to
overseas,
BMG?
so our delay is clear.
Were you guys working together before BMG? You were obviously you did game stuff before BMG. How
City
did
of
we get
Heroes,
to-
baby.
City of
Was-
Heroes.
it was- we are two of the City of Heroes teams, Cryptic Studios, back in the day, the greatest MMO of all time.
Where is that located? Where were y'all?
It was called
Los Gatos, California.
Paragon City.
And so,
We were in Los Gatos, California, which is basically just north of San Jose. Is that right, Matt? Ish.
South
Oh.
of San Jose.
South of San Jose.
So then y'all left. Y'all
Yeah,
left a
how
San
did-
Jose studio and started one in Georgia.
No, so it's like crazy that we ended up in the same spot, right? So Matt was like super early City Heroes, like day one dev team, basically. And I was late. I went there out of school, and it was right as they were transitioning from heroes to villains. And we were on the same team together, worked a little bit. I'm from Georgia. Matt moved to Georgia to join the high res team. And then just through a series of coincidences, Matt, myself, and one other guy all ended up doing some work together at, wow, EVE Online, guys. This is amazing. I can
Whoa, this is news to me. What?
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah, we were
The EVE
working.
Online guys.
We
Oh,
were working
Matt,
on
maybe.
World.
CCP?
CCP was
Line.
making
CCP,
Thank
yeah.
you.
CCP was making World of Darkness, the vampire
Oh
MMO.
yeah.
And we kind of
Wow.
all got reconnected together. And like the first time Matt and I kind of reconnected at, we went to his house to meet up for dinner. And Kelly and I came the night before. We just showed up and they were like, oh, well, we were meeting tomorrow, but come on in.
Yeah.
And then a game development studio was born. So there you go. That's kind of how it went.
That is
Wow.
crazy.
But yeah, we both ended up back in Georgia for different reasons. And, why not?
And then I guess,
Yeah,
and then you
Well, I'm
grabbed
glad
Dan
you guys did.
sometime shortly after, right?
No, early on was the two of us, and then it was Dave, Dolce, and Daryl were kind of like the
Yeah.
next early.
That's the Basement Five.
wave.
Basement 5.
The Basement Five, yeah. And then shortly
Right.
after that, when we kind of started working out of the Lichtenau, the Xavier office, we added MC and Dan. I think were the next two, pretty close to back to back.
That sounds right.
And then after that, I think it was like Terry and Jade, or it's hard for me to remember kind of the order, but generally speaking,
They
I
came
know
on at the same time.
they started.
They were there when I
Terry
got
and
there.
Jade were, I think, simultaneous. Yeah.
And there's an
Man, that's
intern
cool.
named, I want to say Blaze.
Blaze.
Yeah, there
He
was.
was there for like a week. Oh, and Kreider was there as an intern for like a started. And then he didn't come back and start working for us
Kreider was
until
an
next
intern.
year.
Oh, here we go. I
And,
found a picture
our-
of MC and Dan and Dolce and Lincoln.
Oh, there's Jamie. Yeah.
That's Siege. I don't know if it's the same year, but that's Siege.
So we were talking about MC and Dan
Look at
getting
that.
picked up around the same time. That's these two guys on the left here.
These look like such sweet boys.
Sweet boys.
Look at us
Dolce.
in our suits.
I
Yeah.
convinced everybody to wear them because I was like, I'm dressing up, and then they were like, should we? And I don't know why everybody agreed to this because I remember being uncomfortable the entire night.
Yeah, that would never fly
Uh,
today. We'd be wearing basketball shorts. Honestly, you know how I
Pretty
wear
much.
basketball shorts every day? A lot of it was because when I first came to Blue Mammoth, to see the plays and interview and stuff. Lincoln was wearing t-shirt and basketball shorts, and I'm like, all right, this is my place.
That was the dress code.
When do I start?
That's the dress code.
So the first BCX, and Foda comes out onto stage to like do all the announcing, and he's wearing shorts. And so Foda and I, this is true. This is just true.
Oh no!
Like it literally came down to, it was nice, it was smiling, it was friendly, but it really came down to Foda basically me having to ask myself, am I willing to fire Foda over this? Am I willing to go to the mat to make him wear long pants up on stage? And he won, because I wasn't going to fire him over it. And I was like,
there was a
okay.
moment there where Matt was pretty serious of like, go home and get some jeans. And I'm like, but I can't.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, Foda's like, this is the most formal thing I have, and it's like a long nightie, like Ebenezer Scrooge.
That's right.
But this was it. This was the first BCX. We're on finals.
That was an awesome time. That was so cool.
There I am on stage there with Steven.
That's one of the highlights.
And Duke's got a bow tie for contrast.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's me in the center there, I think.
Yeah, you were behind
we were up there having to rotate controllers because every time a match would start, somebody would bring some other kind of ridiculous controller, plug it in,
like
and
a
the game
Guitar
would freak
Hero
out.
thing. Yeah.
Oh man, Lincoln, remember the mechanical keyboard?
Oh,
We were not ready
Oh.
with multi-keyboard.
I don't think people
No,
realize
Their own gear.
how close BCX 2016 was to just not even. We were the whole programming team was like sitting on the floor with their laptops at 3 a.m. the day before the singles tournament started. Like Friday happened, we found some problems. Before Saturday, we needed to like recode a whole bunch of stuff, and you did. That's when multi-keyboard really got
I've been
fleshed out.
drinking too, like.
Well, that was the tough part. Is like you can test a lot of things, but testing the interaction of a bunch of random different keyboards from across the world is like it's impossible to be ready for it. So it always be something like when this keyboard is in this emulation mode, and this keyboard is also plugged in second. While you've got a Wii U adapter in, then numlock makes both their things jump at the same time, and we're like, "What are you talking about?"
I mean, multi-keyboard is already like. I mean, I've never played another game that has multi-keyboard in it. What a silly thing! Windows doesn't read keyboards that way. It's like undocumented. And I want to say Andrew. I want to give a lot of credit to Andrew for going through.
Well, Lincoln found the library that I had to. And then I had to scour Microsoft's minimally documented code, try and figure this out. And the thing with the mechanical keyboards is that I guess they get around the ghosting problem by making multiple keyboards.
Yeah.
And so what was happening was if you had more than 4 keys pressed simultaneously on a mechanical keyboard, the last ones weren't getting read because the game thought it was a separate keyboard.
Right.
And we had to come up with some hacky
somehow.
way of trying to figure out which keyboards go with each other. And we ended up having to go with the internal name, which was just like, it was like a string, which is like a list of characters. And it was like, okay, well, if they've got the same little code, 20 characters down, and I think it's the same keyboard. And I came in hot, but it worked.
It worked, and we had a final.
So for anyone that doesn't understand the inside baseball, it's like, like Apollo 13 where they dump like a box of trash, like to prevent a crash, we need to fit this into this, and that's like what happened. It was a lot of like just laying the train tracks while the train was moving.
What's that, Matt?
The
heroic
effort. Train's moving.
From
I do want to
just
a minute.
So myself.
Just jump back to that picture real quick.
Okay.
I just want to shout out that first BCX. It was all these people working together, but the first BCX worked because of the community. Shout out to everybody in that picture because literally it worked because everyone who was there just decided that it was going to work. It was like amount of crap that people put up with, and people just like were like, okay, we're here to do this. We're going to make it happen. It was dramatic, and the amount of the volunteers who were working on stuff, it was just like it could have gone up in flames. I mean, seriously gone up in flames. But people were like, nope. Instead, we're just here to have a good time and make it work. And it was
Yeah.
And yeah,
Community was full of a lot of good attitude people. Like morale was high among people there. They were really excited about it. And yeah, that thing could have totally flopped, but it didn't.
There were
The whole
two
weekend was
moments.
just surreal.
There are two moments that I remember. Like the first one, I remember there was kind of like the night before BCX started. Did we have that kind of small room for like crew battles and friendlies and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now I remember when we first got there, I thought that was the venue, right? I thought that was the whole thing, and even then I was pretty psyched that I was like, okay, yeah, people are here, the room's packed, this is awesome. And then the next day I was like, the room was empty. I was like, oh no, they shut it down. And then someone was like, no, man, we got the actual hall, you know. And then I saw the whole setup, and I was over the moon. I was so excited. And so that was one thing. And then another moment was, we'd had some PAX experience, but by this point, because it was like, you know, it's a world championship. Now we're getting people arrive that hadn't just come to, you know, see what the buzz is about. These were enthusiasts that knew what the game was, and they wanted to show up for a tournament. And I remember one of the first interactions I had, I'm pretty sure it was at this first BCX. It was Defensive came up to me and he goes, "You're Odling, you did the wolf, the White Fang Nash?" And he said that's why he started playing, was because he saw that thing in like a loot crate or something, right? Defensive, if you're watching, if I got that story correct, I hope I got that story correct. But that made an impression because I was like, that was it. One of my early experiences with an enthusiast that had shown up because they were exactly there for Brawlhalla. And that was cool.
That was crazy.
Yeah, I remember meeting a lot of people that I just talked to on like Steam chat, like meeting Daiku for the first time, and Effie and Creed. Man, like
that first BCX was,
dude, the best part was that we didn't have to set up that big screen in the background. It was like for the first time, Matt actually hired people to set some stuff up for us. And that was great.
Yeah.
Man, that first night there, I got so sick. I was part of the our early dev streams, and like I always had a cup of coffee with me on stream, so everybody was like, "Oh, that's the guy that drinks coffee." Well, all the people that wanted to meet me there, I had coffee most of the time, but they would bring a cup of coffee to drink with me. And I didn't want to be rude that I had already had like 8 cups at that point. So I might have drinking
Dolce latte.
Oh my goodness.
Dose of cappuccinos and flat whites that day because there was a Starbucks at the mall across the street. And then at the end of the day, Steven was like, "Hey, I'm going to bring you a coffee. Do you want one?" And I was like, might as well. And he brought me the biggest thing ever, and I ended up drinking it, and I thought I wasn't gonna make it to the con the next day. I was so sick.
Yeah, you see that's the Blue Mammoth dev thing. Like Dolce put his immune system on the line for you guys.
There was a moment when
That's
we were
right.
based in 5. I think we were working on Dungeon Blitz at the time, working towards a milestone. And Matt had gone away for the weekend, so he just said, "You just stay in my house, whatever." And I had so much coffee that, do you remember the movie Limitless, where like he would take the pill and the world would light up?
You go Fish Islands.
One of the coffees I have feeling like that. Like I just like had awoken. And then I'd realized I had way too much coffee that weekend. I just got on this crazy coding bender to try and get something done. So I don't do that anymore. It's not good for you.
coffee, Nas, pizza.
Yeah. When you come down, it's just like the movie. It's not fun. You want that hit again. You want to be back on
I
that.
feel so worthless now.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
No, those BCXs were crazy too, because everyone would be like, "Is this so fun? Are you so excited for you?" I'm like, I am just spending this whole weekend as a ball of stress, begging that nothing goes wrong. That's what the whole weekend.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
It's the most stressful time of my life, honestly. But
And it
Oh
was
man,
like-
some of the controllers people were bringing.
Oh yeah.
Daiku had some crazy setup to use the classic controller for the Wii.
for the Wii, yep.
Because It had an octo gate, which was very big to him.
It's a big deal. Yeah. Back when we were playing.
I mean,
I will
so
tell you
many
this.
people showed up. It was really like what Matt said. Is like imagine you're throwing a big party, and you just want to make sure people show up and have a good time, and you have no idea what to expect. And so, like when people showed up, would tell you a great time they're having and how happy they are. It helped make the whole thing worth it. So it's good time.
Yeah.
Good times.
It's one of the highlights of my career. Was
Honestly,
that weekend.
exhilarating.
It really was. And I mean, we kind of been training for that exact moment with the way we had been doing patches and stuff, and just hot fixing things on Steam. It's like, oh, there's something wrong. We need to fix it, right? There wasn't this like, oh, what do we do? It's like everybody we're like, ah, crap, and we just jumped on it. Like, it felt good. It felt natural. It was really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, good time. Stressful time, but worth it.
Welcome
It was
to
all
Brawlhalla.
totally worth it.
I
All right,
think I
guys.
remember handing
Well,
Ryder some stuff. Oh no, go
That's-
ahead.
That's our time. We're out of time now, but maybe we can do this again sometime. It was pretty fun having all of you guys on.
Yeah.
Now I
for having
have
us.
one more question before we go, and this is mostly for Lincoln. Should we raid Soldier Boy? He's streaming right now. Should we send? Should we send?
He did say we could use a ton. So
We
Tell
have
him.
40,000 people
maybe
watching
we
right
all
now.
show
We
up
could
in the
send them
raid
all.
and say, hey, where's the dance that you promised
Yeah,
us?
where's the time?
Why not? Sure.
All right.
What do I have? Yeah. What reason do I have to say no here? So yeah, do that. Sounds great.
All right. Well, maybe he'll
and
do
before we
the
leave,
crank that
we were
dance.
trying to figure out. It was Jade, it was Terry, and then of course it was Andrew. Andrew was the next one. I just thought he joined later. We were so small when you joined us. It's crazy.
I joined, and then Zeke was like
A little bit after.
3 months after me,
He was early.
Yeah, I got it.
and then we were at that level for a long time. Like I think
he was
we were
like
at that
3
until
after.
Raven, maybe.
Yeah, we were like that for a year. We had to cry
Yeah,
for a
something
year
like
after that, and then Steven like a year and a half after that. We were a little itty bitty dev team for a long time. It's kind of hard to remember it was like that.
Wow.
All right. We are about to raid Soldier Boy. That's so funny. Did you ever imagine? All right. Hopefully.
And here we are. Yeah, from humble
Yeah,
beginnings.
here we go. We're initiating the
As a
raid.
Georgia football fan, that song has fond memories for me,
Yeah.
which I won't explain, but some people might know what I'm talking about.
All right.
Make sure you vote in January if you're from Georgia. By the way,
Good.
important vote January 4th or 5th, I
Good
believe.
call.
Go vote.
Good call.
It's not over.
Good call. Yeah, it's not over. Go vote. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you all so much for joining us. 40,000 viewers are going to head over to Soldier Boy right now. I can't wait to see his reaction.
Let's go to
Thank
Soldier
you
Boy
once
with the
again.
weather.
Thank you, all you guys, all you Grand Wizards of Brawlhalla, for joining me on this dev stream podcast. I guess we're doing podcasts now. And thank you to the community. Like Matt said earlier, it's all because of you guys. So appreciate you, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye. Everybody wave. Let's all wave goodbye. Bye.
I think I'm frozen, but you could just put it out.
I assume I've been frozen about half of this, but
Yeah,
see y'all.
right.